Doing well. How are you? Don and Lily from Thailand. We have Darlene in Dominican Republic. We were going to have Maddie in Dominican Republic as well, and Danny. Unfortunately, they're unable to attend. But for anybody that's joining in and viewing this either currently or it is a recording, you can reach out to any of us on our website is www.destinationdreamweddings with an s.com. We have a form there. We have all of our contact information, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So we wanted to start today by having just, I think, changing the dialogue up a little bit and making sure that people are, I think we're all done with COVID. I think we're all done with politics. I think we're all done with all of the things that have been going on for us in the longest while. So I thought it would be fun if we just talked travel and we talked weddings and we talked our territories and we just talk about all the wonderful things and the fun things and the exciting things we have to look forward to going forward in the future. And that way maybe we'll inspire people to have some questions, or maybe they will want to connect with us to see if there's some other ideas that we could give them, or even just help them with their own events that they're planning. So I'm going to start this off here because I thought this was kind of fun, and I love the idea of talking about our favorite places and our destinations. Now, Don and Lily, I haven't been to Thailand, so I have nothing to say, oh, I agree with you. So share with us some of your favorite places in Thailand and why they're their favorite.
Well, I'll let Don say because
I'll start.
Yeah.
Because
he know better sometimes.
But you live there, Lily.
I was, stationed in Thailand when I was working. I had to travel a lot, and there are a lot of areas within Thailand. There are some places that I have yet to visit, such as Chiang Mai up in the north.
Oh yeah, we have to go there.
But personally, myself, I like the beaches. I like being on the coast. So I'm partial to a few areas. One of them is Hua Hin, which is 2 hour, if the traffic's good, maybe 3 hour drive with no traffic from Bangkok.
Okay.
And so it's easily accessible. Actually, even if you take a taxi, I know if you take a taxi from Bangkok to Hua Hin, you're probably going to pay equivalent in US dollars of maybe $50 one way. I mean, you can't even
probably a little bit more.
Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I guess. But still, it's probably going to cost less than your standard taxi fare within any city to an airport.
Wow.
Like, say, for example, how much would it cost to take a taxi from, say, downtown Edmonton, Alberta to the airport? How much would that cost?
Yeah, it's around $70 or $80, I think.
So it's the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is just that everything is a little bit cheaper there, the cost of living and so forth as well.
Right.
But Hua Hin is where the royal family has one of their palaces. There's a huge expat community. So if you kind of sit in a Starbucks early in the morning or a coffee shop and just kind of listen to the talk, you hear most of these Western expats talking about what golf course they're going to play that day, because Hua Hin is also really the golfing capital of Thailand. There's a lot of professional, top-notch golf courses there as well, and it has beautiful beaches, great seafood restaurants, night markets.
Last time, I remember we went there last year and it was like a Holiday Inn hotel with a water park.
So when people think of Holiday Inn hotels, they just think of, they're just a great place to stay overnight, if you're traveling somewhere. But the Holiday Inn, for example, in Hua Hin is this beautiful resort with a rooftop swimming pool, and attached to it this massive, massive water park, which is right across, almost like, 2 blocks from this wonderful night market that is open.
It's pretty much in town, like a city town. Yeah.
And then there's temples. There's one temple that it looks like something out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's in a cave, but the top part is open, and there's a reclining Buddha, gold Buddha inside. And when the sunlight comes down, it reflects off the gold Buddha and refracts the light. but it literally looks like a movie set from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow. And so you can go into these and visit into these temples.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there's another newly built park where they have statues of all the former kings of Thailand, which is really amazing. And then if you go away from there's really popular areas within Thailand, like Pattaya, and which it's all right, but it's more of a younger party crowd.
Okay.
And I guess probably my next two favorite places would be Krabi and Phuket. But within Phuket, there's just one special area that Lily and I like. It's called Mai Khao Beach. Which ironically is Mai Khao means white. It's white beach.
Okay. So what makes that so special for you guys?
Well, when we started going there, it wasn't as developed as it is now. There are more resorts there, but it's still away from Phuket town. It's away from all the chaos that you would have in a central area. And so you can get up in the morning and literally you have almost like 15 to 20 kilometers of beach to walk along. And there's nobody on the beach. You can just walk along the beach.
It's private beach.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's more of a relaxing place. You know, there's a little village there. You can walk from the resorts and you can go there and like I think they have like a Swenson's ice cream. They have a British pub. They have lots of little there's a Jim Thompson silk shop. They have all these really nice high-end area, but it's a great place just to go and relax.
And I think that I can see that because Lily's face just lights right up when you talk about it.
It is a special spot for us that we like. And
well, every time we think about it and make us happy, it's one of the great memories and one of the great places that we always, spend time together when we were in Thailand.
I remember one time we were staying. I think we were staying the JW Marriott Resort, and we were just sitting on these. I don't need to get into the explanation, but there's this pathway that goes between the pools and the beach, and we were sitting on these beach chairs and just kind of in the shade and just relaxing. And I was kind of half dozing off. And I saw like a baby elephant walks by, which was.
Oh my gosh, that would have been the best. That would have been the highlight of my whole entire day, life, week.
Mine, it was with a trainer.
They have
sanctuary.
Yeah. Or in Phuket as well. So even like tourists, can go visit like feeding the elephants and give them a bath, But no riding.
I want to do that. Okay, Darlene, you've been in Dominican Republic for 17 years from Canada, so you probably have a few favorite places. Talk about some of your favorites, a couple of your favorites.
Well, I have dozens, literally. So easily the best thing for me is this country is so diverse. We go from oceanfront beautiful villas to mountaintops with stunning views. We go from heat and humidity of the summer to cool, quiet evenings up in the mountains.
Yeah.
We have waterfalls, we have stunning white beaches, we have black beaches, we have desert, and we have tropical. So, and that's what I love. The other thing is that we are literally within 2 hours of the United States. We are 3 hours from New York. We are 4 hours from Toronto.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's me. I'm going to have to take a break. I'll be right back.
No worries. I'm going to talk about my favorite places in Dominican Republic on behalf of Maddie. Maddie and Danny have our north side of Dominican Republic, and that's actually where we started Destination Dream Weddings. So I know a lot of the places that she loves. We have, I think one of Maddie and I's favorite places is Villa Cocomar. It's actually a villa that's right on the beach, just on the other side of Cabarete on the north coast. And it is absolutely beautiful. It's got a huge garden. It's fully landscaped and just so pretty. And it's got a central villa that has, I think, 4 bedrooms is the main villa, but he's got outbuildings on the outside. It almost looks like apartments. And so he's got 10 extra spaces there. So he can accommodate 20 people, 28 people, I believe, to stay on the property. And so for a micro wedding, I mean, it's absolutely perfect. You can have beach or you can have garden. It's close to everything. It's close to shopping. It's close to all of the restaurants and the bars and all of the nightlife. The surfing community of Cabarete is right beside Kite Beach, which is, I mean, it's known for its kite surfing and all of those type of things. So that's one of my favorites. And then like Darlene was talking about, just the diversity. We go up to Samana, which is on the north coast as well, and you've got, it's just pristine, and it almost feels like it almost has this French feel to it. It's a lot of Europeans live there, and it's really, really pretty. A lot of boutiques and bistros, and but still extremely Caribbean. So I think those are the things that I love best. I could talk about it for 100 years. As far as Canada, though, Canada has got my heart. The mountains. We just went to the mountains last weekend, and we had just the best time. Unfortunately, you know, the Skytram wasn't open. A lot of the stuff wasn't open at this time because of COVID, but we were able to go around and just see, and just, it's jaw dropping when you sit at your table and you look out and you have a cup of coffee, and you know, you see the snows on the peaks and all of the fall foliage around down below, and it is just, I don't think that there's a negative place in the mountains, in all of Canadian Rocky Mountains, in my opinion. My favorite place is Canmore.
Oh, I love
but
that.
only by this much. Yeah, Canmore is such a unique and wonderful, and I love Banff, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but I do find that it's extremely busy and extremely pricey, and I find that, you know, Canmore, they've got a lot of really great venues there as well that are not those huge all-inclusives, so you can go in there and you feel like you're just a part of that community. And I think that that's super special. And for weddings, I mean, it's so intimate, right? Because you don't need the decor. You've got that as your backdrop. So to me, that kind of makes a big difference. Some of the things that people wouldn't know possibly about Canadian Rocky Mountains, you can go up on the Jasper Skytram, and when you get up to the top of the mountain, it's hard to breathe. That's how high up you are. So I actually went up on a visit one time with my father, who's asthmatic, and he had to sit down on a rock a few times when we were just walking around up there. The air is that thin. So you can actually look down on the whole town of Jasper when you get up on that mountain, and I think it's really, really a beautiful, beautiful experience. What is something that you might not know about Dominican Republic, Darlene?
Oh, we have the highest peak in the Caribbean. And we have a below sea level saltwater lake.
Tell me about that, because I don't know about that one.
We do. We have either alligators or crocodiles. I don't know the difference. The only place you find the big iguanas are in the southwest of the country.
Okay.
Stuff like that amazes me. And
Me too.
They claim we get snow here, but it's not really snow, it's frost.
All right, but that's obviously up in the mountain peaks. And the other thing I'm going to add on Maddie's behalf is that you can actually buy berries in Dominican Republic that do not grow down by the ocean, but because they have those mountainous areas where it's a little cooler and the soil is a little different, you can buy raspberries and strawberries and stuff that I really missed when I was living there until I found them.
We can now.
Yes, now for sure.
We get some almost beefsteak tomatoes like in Canada.
Yes.
We almost get those. They're close, but not quite. Yes. It's really diverse. Mango season is my favorite time of the year. And we get mango seasons, and I can eat mangoes until I blow up.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for just a second. You guys have mangoes in Thailand.
You don't want to go down that road.
I do want to, because I want to talk to each of you guys about preparing a mango, because when I moved to Dominican Republic, I got mangoes off my tree and I was so excited because I love mangoes. I'm from Canada. I've never actually prepared one. I finally had to Google. I had mango in my hair. It was all over the counter. It was dripping down onto the floor. The dogs were eating it. And by the time I had enough to eat, I had maybe this much, because I had it everywhere.
Before, I'm going to let Lily talk about this, but before she does, I will just say that we've tried the mangoes from Central America and the Caribbean South America, don't take this the wrong way, but they pale in comparison to the ones in Thailand. And I don't know if it's just because of the climate, the soil, but the mangoes are so sweet.
I'm going to prove it.
What's that? Well, sorry, Darlene, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
You have to prove it. Send me mangoes.
Oh, okay. We'll send you some mangoes. Yeah, and you send some our way. Like, and seriously, the mangoes are, I'm not really sure.
Long time ago, I found Thai mango at T&T Market here, and just one mango is cost, I think like $12. Just one mango.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, I saw it and it was so shocked because it's, in Thailand for that amount of, the price, you can get like tons of it.
Yeah.
But here, because, they ship from overseas from Thailand and it's from, original from Thailand, and that's why, well, it's like this big, but it's $12, which is like so surprised.
Yeah. And that's very similar for Canada. Like, I go and buy avocados, and of course I had an avocado tree in my yard in Dominican Republic, and I mean, I lived on the most beautiful fresh avocados there that tasted just so completely different than those nasty little things that we get here in Canada in a bag in the supermarket for $12,000 for 5 underripe, nasty, weird avocados. I mean, we got a lot of good things in Canada, but avocados is not one of them. So I have to ask Don and Lily, I read something someplace and it said that even Thai pineapple tastes different than the pineapples in the Caribbean or other tropical zones. Do you know of that at all?
I know that the pineapple, you're going to find this really weird, but the best pineapple that I've tasted in Southeast Asia comes from the Philippines. But the best pineapple I've ever had was in Hawaii.
Really?
Seriously, it's the
well, even
soil.
in Thailand, it was sweet to remember.
The Thai pineapple is sweet,
like
but I would say the pineapples you get from Hawaii are probably the best I've ever tasted, in all seriousness. But see, Thailand,
isn't that interesting?
When people come to Thailand for the first time, the one thing that they get completely blown away by is the fruit and the different types of fruit. Like, there are, for example, mangosteens. They are actually, we got a little, this is soap, but that's what a mangosteen looks like. So it has a purple, like almost like a shell around it, and then you break it open, and there's these little segments and the white meat, and it's very sweet. They're like in the same family as the lychee.
Okay.
And then there's rambutan, which is you'll find them in markets. I'm sure you can find them in exotic markets in Canada. I don't know about the Caribbean, but they're round and they're red and they look like they have spikes on them, but they're soft.
Oh, yes.
And you peel them open, and there's very sweet meat on the inside of it, the fruit. And then there's rose apples, which look like little bells, but they're apples. And of course, the world famous durian. Which,
that everybody loves.
It's the weird thing. Lily doesn't like durian, but I do. But most places you can't bring them on an airplane. You cannot bring them into like 5-star hotels or whatever. You can't bring them in the hotel lobbies because of the smell.
Right.
It's rather pungent.
Do we have those there, Darlene, in Dominican? Oh.
No, ma'am.
Okay, look at that.
Nope.
Yeah, we didn't have the durian, but you guys Dominican has got some really interesting stuff that I thought was really fun when we moved there, because I would go shopping and I'm like, wonder what that is. I wonder what you do with that. I wonder if you eat the whole thing. I wonder if it has a pit. I wonder if it's actually edible. I wonder how you prepare it.
Well, there's not only the fruits, but the vegetables. But I think what's really important in terms of destination wedding planning is that we know what's here and what's available. We know what's native to the culture.
Right.
And so if you want your wedding to have some Dominican flavor, we know how to provide that.
Right.
If you want things that we know are imported and costly, we're going to tell you that. And I'll tell you what's not available.
Right.
Okay. ask me for sweet potatoes, people.
Now, every once in a while at the Play Arrow, and again, they sell for $12,000, but you can once in a blue moon find them.
Well, we know what's commonly eaten. We know what's easy to prepare. We know what's well prepared here.
And
we can,
seasonality and all of those things, right? And the same for Thai. I'm sure in Thailand you can tell people, you know, even the flowers. I know when we talk with an awful lot of our couples when we're doing the planning, and I talk to them about flowers. If they don't have a favorite flower that they love, I always say, let's pick something that's seasonal and it will help to keep it, and it's a local flower, and it'll help to keep that cost down. For instance, in Canada, if I'm doing a wedding in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, to get things like bird of paradise, orchids, any of those types of things, it's like $10 a flower. So it's a really, really expensive option for a lot of our clients, right? Where Dominican Republic, I know for sure, those flowers, they grow everywhere. People just attach the orchids to trees and grow them willy-nilly and beyond, right? So we have that ability, and I'm sure the same in Thailand. There's certain things that are going to cost a lot more to bring because they're not native, they're not seasonal, they're not in, you know, part of your world in Thailand, correct?
Pretty much you're going to get just about a lot of the things that you have in other locations. I think if you're planning a wedding and say someone wants to have, I'll give you two examples. Maybe they want to have steak and lobster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Steak, if they want the steak, it's going to come from either Australia or North America. It'll be imported. So there's going to be a hefty price tag put on that. If they don't want to have traditional Thai food. So I'm saying if they want to have a mix, if they want to have a Western meal,
right.
Lobster will be what I call Asia Pacific lobster, which is it's good lobster, but it doesn't have the big claws. Like people, when they think of lobster, they always think of the East Coast of North America with the big red claws. They don't have those, so you just basically have just a tail on the back, and there's a bit of a difference in the taste, what have you, as well. So Lily had her first time ever. She had lobster from the East Coast, and it was scary. She just devoured the whole thing. I think it was her last meal.
So you enjoyed it, Lily?
Well, you know, in Thailand we eat like even like prawns or shrimp, we eat the head of them too, right?
Okay, yeah.
But here in North America, downside people don't eat that.
No.
But when I jump on a lobster, I eat every part of it, like every single part. I finish them all, even the head.
Good for you.
In Thailand, we love, because it's kind of, you know, it's so sweet at the head of the prawn.
It's like a zombie. She likes brains.
No, it was truly sweet, and most people in Thailand, they love it. It's like a highlight thing of the prawns.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That just goes to, like, there's just subtleties and different little things
but
that are.
But these are things that people that are not really familiar or have not lived in Thailand or Dominican Republic would have, or, you know, Canadian Rocky Mountains would have any knowledge of any of that tradition or cultural way of doing things, because it's very foreign to what we see in Canada, right? Where we would never think of that. But being raised as a farm kid, we used every portion of everything that we had. So when we butchered, we used every piece of everything as much as we could, right? Yeah. So I think that's really fascinating. Darlene, there's a season.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say to Darlene, there's a season for lobster. Now that we're talking about lobster in Dominican Republic, correct?
Yes, the lobster is closed from March until June 30th. March 1st to June 30th. You can get shrimp, but you can't get crab, you can't get lobster, you can't get anything like that. Yeah, and it's closed for 4 months.
Yeah, so that's just an environmental. They're trying to, you know, save the.
It's apparently when they lay their eggs and do the breeding and stuff, so you can't.
So it's a conservational type kind of thing. And I know we've talked to clients in Canada, you know, Canadian Rocky Mountains, we're landlocked, so we have to ship anything in that would be seafood, have it fresh. Canadians are very, very fortunate. We have really good, ability to do that kind of stuff, but it's going to come at a cost. So if you want some good Alberta beef, that's probably a better option than us bringing beautiful lobster in from, the coast for our clients. But we are willing to do whatever it is that people want us to do. I wanted to talk a little bit about, because of COVID and how everything has changed in our markets, the way that we're doing things. And I personally loved the micro wedding. I love a smaller, more intimate, more personal type of, it's just always been the way that even my first marriage, I think we had 35 people and we got married in my parents' home. So I've always loved like the micro wedding. My very favorite though is a boho wedding. If I ever get a chance to do a boho themed wedding, and I don't really care where I do it, it will work in the mountains, it will work on a beach, it will work in a garden, it will work anywhere. I crave to do a boho wedding. How about you guys? Have you been to certain weddings or had certain weddings that you think are just super special to you? We'll start with you, darling.
My wedding was over 200 people, and it was different because we didn't have a down meal. We had a midnight buffet. So we got married at 6:30 at night. So you had your dinner first because we were on a budget. And our budget didn't allow for 200 people for dinner. So we had live music, we had a DJ, we had a massive dance floor, and we had a midnight buffet.
Nice.
So for me, here it just depends. I've been to weddings of 12 people, and I've been to weddings that felt like there were 1,500 people. And just one thing about the Dominican culture is if you're doing a wedding here and you're inviting Dominicans, you need to double or triple the amount of people you assign for Dominicans because they bring everybody.
Yes, and they love to eat and drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They bring their neighbors. Oh, I just thought one person won't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have 50 Dominicans, you have 150 Dominicans and 50 of your Canadian guests, your American guests. So I always warn people about that. But Dominicans have perfected the fine art of celebrating anything. And I love that. I love that about the culture.
Me too.
We can have fun with zero money.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that simple.
And we had a little saying, or at least we did on the other side of the island where I lived, is that Dominicans will celebrate any occasion, and all they need to do is drive by a Presidente, which is the local beer sign, and they'll stop to have a party. So that's the way of it. The other thing with the Dominicans too is if you do have Dominican family that is attending the event, you have to consider everybody needs to take home a piece of cake. So
not so much anymore.
No, because the ones I've done, they've all wanted a big chunk of cake to go home with, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Not so much anymore. I have a story to tell you though about a party. I got stuck in a traffic jam. There was a big accident on the North Coast. And to get home, I went down the side streets and the traffic was backed up. I had been grocery shopping and I had ice cream in my bag.
Oh no.
So I said, look on the street, go get some spoons. So they grabbed a bunch of spoons and we sat on the side of the street eating my ice cream out of the bucket.
Oh, see, you gotta love community like that.
Yes, that is the Dominican spirit. And the next thing, a bottle of rum came out and some glasses. So
now, did you put the ice cream in the rum and make, what are those called?
No.
Yucky. We'll call them yuckies.
Kids eat the ice cream. Yeah.
So, okay, so we're gonna move that question off then to Dawn and Lily. So a favorite, is it a Thai wedding? What is your favorite kind of wedding and why is it favorite? What makes it special?
You wanna go? Well, I thought our wedding was special because it was unique. We blended two components to our wedding. Our wedding ceremony was a traditional Thai wedding that we had as an intimate wedding at our home. I think we had 45 people.
Yeah, about 35 to 40 people.
And our wedding attire was traditional. And then there's a lot of different things that you must do. Like the wedding itself actually started at about 8 o'clock in the morning.
No, 7.
7 a.m. And we had 9 Buddhist monks as the officiants for our ceremony, and it was a pure 100% Thai wedding. And then in the evening, the reception was Western. So at that point, Lily got into a beautiful white wedding dress, and I wore a tuxedo. And but even then, there were certain nuances or differences that from a Western wedding that you would have maybe in Canada or in the United States, such as when you have a Western wedding reception, the bride and groom make their grand entrance at the end, right? Everybody gets into the hall, everybody gets into wherever they're hosting the reception, and then they make their grand entrance.
Mhm.
But in Thailand, you are there before all the guests. There's a picture wall that's set up, and you have to greet every single guest that comes in individually.
Wow.
So that's a much different
And take a
component.
picture.
And take picture and picture and picture and picture. We had 250 people at our wedding reception.
Well, the guests have to come register first, and then in Thailand we we put money in an envelope, because when we give them our invitation card, so they have to return us with it's money.
Yeah, basically
So-
it's an Asian, in most Asian weddings, it's just normal to give envelopes with money in it rather than wedding gifts. You don't register at a store and have people, and then you have a wall of gifts that you have to open up. It's easier.
So,
and I think that a lot of
yeah.
weddings are changing
So
to that.
they register, and then they give the money in an envelope, and then we give them the souvenir, like a wedding souvenir, and then they go to the picture taking, and then they can go to the hall and then they can get their own table.
But then the
Wow.
other thing that we add on that's a little bit unique compared to other Western weddings is there's no head table at our wedding. So we were the hosts of our wedding. So we were on stage.
You are really working towards your guests, to caring for your guests, as opposed to
It's us caring for our guests, yes, and thanking them for supporting us and being there, in terms of supporting, in terms of just being there and wanting to share the evening with us. So we're their hosts.
Then we have the presentation.
Yes. So then there's presentations, and what was I can't remember now, but we had. Well, are you there?
yeah. Hopefully you'll see me in just a second here.
Oh, okay. So you went to screen sharing.
Yeah, I just wanted to show their wedding.
Oh, I forgot you had these photos. So yeah, that's basically. I don't know. I look like I got hit in the top of the head, but
No, I love it. I think it is so beautiful.
Well, what you're seeing there this is very traditional. So at this point, we are tied together. We have these strings around our head, and we're actually joined together. And I think, Lily, you know the significance of that a little bit more than I do.
Oh, you're right.
But if you look at those hearts that are there,
Mm-hmm.
Lily's cousins and aunts,
Yeah, my
they
aunts
all
and-
hand sewed those
Yeah.
flowers. So those are real
And
flowers.
they're all real flowers there.
So
Wow.
that's what if someone wanted to have a traditional Thai wedding through us, that's something that can be done. It's not expensive, but this kind of gives you an idea. And this all the stuff that you're seeing there was actually brought in, supplied by a local vendor, except for the flowers. Obviously, we did that. Lily's family or her family did that herself, but from the outfits, everything that we're wearing. So that all can be supplied. And so that kind of gives you an idea. And then what happens is our hands are like this, you can't see it, but the way our hands are kind of clasped together.
Why?
And it's called a Y, which is the Thai greeting and sign
Thank
of
you.
respect and thankful. And people will come by, and at that point they come by and give us their blessing and their best wishes to us, and they pour water on our hands.
Oh,
In a shell. Like, what is it called? Made from the shell.
Yeah. I can't. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it's actually really cool. And so, but those are things that can be done So you can, like, it's an offering to the guests. Some guests might
Yeah.
want to just have, like, a barefoot wedding on a beach,
Yeah.
or they might want to have something like this and then have the receptionist.
Or maybe they could have both. I mean, if they're there for a certain amount of time, they could have the two sides like you guys did, right? And then celebrate in a more Western style in the evening kind of thing.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
can customize if they want to. That can be anything.
I highly recommend doing the traditional Thai wedding if you're coming there, because it is something that, I mean, ours is a bit unique because you don't have to get up and start the ceremony at 7 a.m. But ours was unique.
Just like some part of the ceremony, that's
Yeah.
fine,
But
And the other part is, I mean, they're going to have you guys there to help with all of those preliminary things. So hopefully they don't have to start.
They won't have to do anything. They basically, like, we can give them ideas in terms of, well, do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? It's so modular. You can have, like we were talking about, you can have a traditional Thai wedding ceremony and then have a Western. And most Thais will do that. Most Thais will have the reception is always more of a traditional, not traditional, but like what we would call in Western, a traditional Western reception.
Right. And both locations, though, I know Dominican Republic, Canada is very different in this regard, but I know that Thailand and Dominican Republic, you can actually rent your outfits in the destination. So if you show up a little bit early, you can go and pick out a dress. You don't have to travel with your dress. You don't have to worry about the airline losing your dress, something being spilled on your dress, or your suits. If you want something traditional, like in Thailand there with the beautiful traditional outfit, I'm sure that's something you guys can rent there, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
They have so many wedding studio there that you can, rent all the outfits. They have both like Western and Thai traditional outfit.
I think Lily had a choice of at least 50 different wedding dresses, not the traditional. I'm talking about the Western white wedding dress. She had about 50 to choose from.
Nice. And who doesn't want to change costume in the middle of the day and make it even better, right? Like, I would want that. Okay, and one more thing. One more thing I thought we will talk about here just really, really quickly is what is something that planning a destination wedding that you may not think about if you're doing this without the help of a local planner. So something that might not be considered. Can you think of anything? Because I have a few dozen of them from my time in doing this.
For me, the number one thing is the language and the cultural barriers. If you don't understand how to negotiate here, how to speak Spanish, understand the terminology, you are dead in the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you are treated very differently if you don't speak Spanish, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, not badly, but they don't care to try to figure out what you want as much. Like, they're very kind, but they're busy doing other things.
They will err on the side of their interpretation.
Right. Yeah. So you might not get what you want.
No, not at all.
You'll have the same thing in Thailand as well. I think Darlene couldn't have said it any better. It's just, there are times when, I think people, if they're planning a wedding and they don't know, they would like, oh, I'd like to go to the Dominican, or I'd like to go to Thailand, but they're kind of like deer in a headlight.
Yeah.
They say, oh, and what they end up doing is they want to have that wedding there, but then they end up taking what I call the easy way out and just going to a big resort and getting a canned wedding, and then they'll end up paying twice the amount of money that they would, and they won't get exactly what they want to have.
Yeah, because they already sent as a package.
So, being able to have someone that's local and being able to speak the language and be that bridge is a huge thing. The other thing that I would say, for especially if people are planning to go to like from Thailand, even if you're coming from Australia or for Europe, or if you're within Asia, even if you're coming from Japan, it's a 6 or 7 hour flight. So one of the things that people don't really take into consideration, if it's a smaller wedding especially, is getting there is half the fun. And if you have it in your budget, go as comfortably and enjoyably as you can, because I'll tell you, when you're on a 17-hour flight and you decide to go the cheapest way possible with multiple connections or whatever, by the time you're there, you hate life.
Yeah. Your knees are
And
cramped up around your ears. You've had enough.
you could be getting a divorce before you even get married. Like it is one of the things that if you want to be able to, the excitement of knowing that you're starting off your life and your holiday and you're going to do it, put a little extra money aside, travel a little bit more comfort.
I think that's a really good, both of those are great advice. I went with something a little bit more basic. So I'll just talk a little bit about Canadian Rocky Mountains, things that you need to consider is warmer clothing, because I don't care, even in July, it might be 30 degrees during the day, but you're going to need a light sweater at least in the evening. So consider that. The fact that it can snow every day of the year in the mountains, prepare for that. It could be something that could happen. And the other thing, and I think that this is kind of a global thing and nobody considers it, but it's one of the quickest things that I've learned in doing this business. And it sounds so silly, but count your toilets. If you have a group of people coming to an event and you have one washroom, you may want to consider to get more washrooms, right? So even though we offer, right, darling, right? So we're offering these private and personal venues, so it's not an all-inclusive resort or a huge conglomerate where there's washrooms everywhere. If we're on a beautiful villa or a beautiful area, there may be a need to hire the porta potties or whatever they call, and to make sure that we have somebody clean them up. So this is things that I've learned in doing this business, is that we always have to consider people will need these pieces of their life. And when somebody goes in there and splashes water everywhere and makeup dropped and everything, you need somebody to go in every once in a while, kind of dab the counter clean, put fresh paper in and services and stuff like that. So those are the things that I always say to people. Planning my son's wedding right now, the first thing I said to him is there going to be enough washrooms for everyone? So don't forget your washrooms.
It's a great point. And it's one and we don't think about. It's like, you think about food and drink, well, what goes in is going to come out.
Right. And it's so important to have a place where everybody feels comfortable. So last thing I want to talk to you guys about, just planning destination weddings. What makes that exciting for you guys?
For me,
yes. Oh, go ahead, darling. You go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
My love of this country. So it's why I get involved in everything I do. I love to share the joy of this culture because it is so non-North American. It is, Dominican people are in the moment, in the joy, and that's what your wedding should be. So what I do is I all of the other stuff and deal with it.
Right.
You deal with the joy, I'll deal with the details. That's
love
it.
I love that. Don?
For us, well, I would probably split it, whereas Lily loves to be able to take, for example, the bride and just transform her into something beautiful, because she's very good at doing that, or even making sure that she has the right people that will do the makeup or whatever. And also for planning the venues and getting the right people to how they want to have it decorated and all that side. For me, I like the idea of bringing people to Thailand, and even people who have been to Thailand before, because the problem is when people come to Thailand, they go to Thailand. Like, for example, if I went to Dominican Republic, all I know is Puerto Plata.
Right. Or Punta Cana,
Or Punta Cana, there you go. And that's it. I know what I've seen from, Air Canada vacations or something like that, or Air Transit, whatever it is. But when they come to Thailand, if they want and they wanted to plan a wedding with us, we'd be able to give them all these wonderful locations that are near these popular places, but aren't really there, like kind of set aside from it. And what happens is they're going to create this memorable experience, because what I love to be able to do is I don't look at it as trying to sell a wedding. I look at it as trying to sell the country to people, to make them see it and then always remember it. Because in my previous jobs, I was traveling all over the world basically, and I can always take little snippets of everywhere I've been and have all these wonderful fond memories of them.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I don't want to have just memories of an all-inclusive resort on the beach.
Right.
I have more than that.
And having having Darlene, having you guys, having Maddie and Danny, having me in Canada, we know those places. I remember one time I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I stayed with a lady, and I've never been there before. And she took me to Underground Georgia. She took me to the Pee Wee football games, because every little boy in Georgia plays football and every little girl cheers, right? So the cultural differences, those, seeing the things that other people may not go to because they're not sure how to get there or how to behave when they're there, or if it's safe for them there, we can bring our clients and say, hey, you know what, we've had firsthand experience with these excursions, we know these people, we know these places, we can actually go there and physically stand in these places, take pictures live of the moment and show you what you're getting. And I think that that's so, so special. And for me, it's being able to do those little extra things. Anybody can create a wedding. I always say I didn't recreate the wheel when we created Destination Dream Weddings. What we created, though, was the ability to help people get the things that they need. And I have a couple that are getting married in Dominican Republic. Well, Maddie does. She and her father absolutely love this group, and they're called the Guitar Guys, and they're out of Toronto, Canada. They're from the United States, and they're getting married in Dominican Republic. And I was able to connect with this group. Her father loves this group, and we have negotiated to have them come to Dominican Republic and play for the wedding.
Oh, wow.
And it took a lot, but we got the numbers to work. Yes, and it's so special to me to be able to do that. It's like she was in tears. And I'm so excited to be able to bring those pieces. So bring them to those special places, give them those special things that their guests are going to talk about for a lifetime, right? So that's why I do it. That's my world. Guys, anything else you want to add?
I think we're good.
Awesome. All right. I think we all have puppies and kitties to play with, but thanks anybody for joining us and learning more about Thailand, weddings and travel, and the way that Don and Lily absolutely love their country. And Darlene, Dominican Republic. Darlene is your lady on the South Coast. So all those Punta Cana and La Romana, Casa de Campo folks, connect with Darlene. That's a good idea. Maddie's not here, but we're all here for you guys. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Awesome. Okay, my recording.